Good morning, everybody, and a happy Tuesday morning to you. Okay, because I wait 24 to 48 hours before I report, and this is exactly why. This whole story has evolved. It's very fluid, and there's a lot to it. I decided to do a video just on the quote-unquote secret summit, the one that took place out in public. So that's what this video is about. We will return to our regular scheduled program of Royals first on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So there's a lot to unpack here. So let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. The story is this. There were talks at a private members club in London. The name of the club is called Royal Overseas League, and it's just a few minutes walk from Clarence House, which is King Charles's residence. Now, the question is, who was there and what the heck was this meeting really about? You had Meredith Maines, who is the Chief Communications Officer for Harry and Meghan, and he met with Charles's Communications Secretary, hope I'm saying this right, Tobin Andre. Now, also present at this meeting was Liam Maguire, who oversees the UK press for the Sussexes. That's an interesting thing. So there were two members of Harry's team and one member of Charles's team. We do not know who initiated the meeting, but of course, as soon as the pictures were taken, the press ran with it. This is a channel of communication that's open for the first time in years. Just casual drinks, both sides wanting to talk it out. And so they were on the first floor garden terrace. And then later on, they moved their conversation inside. So of course, the pictures were taken, and this is what I see when I'm looking at these photos, okay? First of all, everybody is on the terrace. This is the three people. That's Charles's aide on the left side, Harry's aide in the middle, and that's Harry's secretary on the right, Meredith Maines. Well, then suddenly the guy looks to the right and he sees the camera. Meredith Maines isn't looking, in my opinion, because she knew the camera was going to be there. And the guy in the middle doesn't look that upset either. It looks like he was also aware that the camera was going to be there. Almost immediately, they said that these talks would never have happened unless William approved and gave his blessing to them. Nope, I don't believe that for one frickin' second. William has made his stance very clear. He has no interest in resolving this feud. He is a brother. Charles is a father. So it's different. Would Charles have spoken to William about it? Absolutely. But William is not the least bit interested in mending fences with his brother, okay? Because William, we know, is furious at the way Harry and Meghan have behaved, and Harry's behavior has just been horrible, and the two of them have not spoken in over 2 years. Now, ideally, wouldn't it be fabulous if a wedge was driven between the king and the heir to the throne? But that's absolutely not going to happen. Now, one report says that the king and Harry may get together very quickly within just a few weeks, but not William. They're saying that William will not feel that he's missed out on the talks. He's not in the frame of mind to speak with Harry, and certainly not with Meghan. And it was reported that there are grave doubts that William will ever forgive his brother. And this will confirm his worst fears that Harry and Meghan are trying to manipulate the situation to their own ends. There could be several reasons, and there are several reasons that are being put out by the press. Neil Sean says that the reason they're meeting, because remember, the King Charles isn't taking his phone calls and King Charles isn't speaking directly to Harry. There's some discussion that the meeting actually was because Harry and Meghan are running out of money, which is a report that we've heard multiple times, and he needs to access trust funds that were set up by Diana, by the Queen Mother, by Queen Elizabeth, and he wants to tap into the funds because, of course, Daddy has cut him off. Is that possible? Well, yeah, I guess it is possible. We have heard reports they're going bankrupt. And let's not forget, Charles already said he will no longer take Harry's phone calls because he's tired of being used like an ATM. So that's one thought process that's out there. HRH Marcia, the Duchess of Truth on Twitter, made an interesting point. She said this was not a peace summit. It was a honey trap staged to insert Harry, by association, back into the royal fold. It was a PR stunt to draw the attention away from the continued success of William and Catherine. And I do find that interesting because, after all, this meeting took place a week before Wimbledon, and then on the day that Catherine returned to Wimbledon, suddenly the story breaks. Get it? And talking about that, Royally Sage, another account on Twitter, pointed out the following things. Number one, they got attention for doing nothing, and it's the attention they tried to take away from Meghan's obsession with the whales. Number two, their Netflix deal is almost done, and so they can show they're still connected to the royal family and quote-unquote taking meetings. Number three, they probably made money selling some of the stories about what happened, or are about to find a way to do that, because obviously selling stories is their main focus of income. Four, they can manipulate the meeting's purpose until the palace clears it up. Five, they can show charities they're still connected. And six, they're desperate for any attention from the palace, and they want the world to know they're still connected to the palace. Spot on comments. I think we all pretty much know that Harry cannot return as a working royal. The UK public will never accept him. Could you imagine him showing up to open something and getting booed the second he steps out of the car? Because I honestly think that would happen. Now, in order for Harry, they're saying, to return to the royal fold, it's going to depend on his silence. Because let's face it, Harry's got a big mouth. Harry has to stop the media interviews. Harry has to stop the public criticisms. He has to stop, but I don't think he can. GB News had something to say. Listen to this.
I'm sorry at home if you can't bear the words, but Prince Harry, there seems to be some sort of an attempt to make peace.
Yes, so this is, the Mail, King Charles and Prince Harry's senior aides have had this secret peace summit. Now, I was thinking, how can Harry come back into the fold while he's still married to Meghan? It seems to be difficult. Edward and Mrs Simpson all over again.
May never really ever repair the relationship between William and Harry, but you can see that Charles is a father. Okay, and you can't get past the love.
And an elderly father.
Love.
And, you know...
Yeah, yes, an elderly
any family kind of rift. Families are really difficult things, and we've all had terrible family rifts and breakdowns and whatever, and this is really sad. So I thought, oh, this is good news. If you actually drill a little bit deeper, A, who's leaking this? B, if a father and a son cannot sit down and talk, I don't care whether they're King Charles and Prince Harry and they live thousands of miles apart, if they can't sit down and talk but their secretaries can, this does not bode well.
But it is said that Charles is worried that now Harry would leak the substance of the conversation.
That's what I mean. There is no trust left. Look at Spare. Look at what he did by writing that memoir, and the Oprah interview, and the other interview,
I know. How
and
do
the
you
Netflix.
come back from all that? But do you think this is because they failed so badly in Hollywood and with Netflix that the only the only thing for them to do now is
it's
to cut
about
back.
money again.
They're desperate to get back on the, into that inner circle. But who can trust them when they are leakier than a sponge?
Sieve.
Sieve.
Yeah.
And they made an excellent point if you caught it. Harry and the king cannot sit down together because the king doesn't trust Harry not to leak what was said, because every time they've had any kind of a private conversation, it has ended up back out in the public realm. Now, another theory is that they were discussing Invictus. Remember, Harry's already invited them to the next Invictus, which is going to happen in 2 years. And the thought process is, because Harry's invited them 2 years ahead of time, the king can clear his schedule. But it's not that easy, because that's the same time as Camilla's big birthday bash that's being planned now. And Harry knew it. Harry could have done Invictus the week before or the week after. He specifically chose that time because he wants pictures of himself with his family. He wants people to think that he's still back in the royal fold. Please try to remember that Charles is the head of the Church of England, and it's all about love and, all this kind of stuff. So Charles was seen over the weekend, of course, going to church, and he went to the church service. And when he went to leave the church service, before he left, he was seen walking in the churchyard with the priest. I think that they were having discussions about what to do. I think Charles is very conflicted because he loves his son, he's head of the church, but yet personally he can't trust him. Now remember, the reason this meeting happened and not with Charles is because Charles was afraid that it would be leaked. So what happened? Harry and Meghan are now saying that they're frustrated because the meeting was caught on camera. Now, they deny leaking the details of this rendezvous. They totally deny it. However, I think that's a little hard. What are they going to do? Try to blame the palace? Say that it was the palace who tried to arrange these peace talks? Obviously, it's Harry who wants to reconcile. It's Harry who's running out of money. It's Harry whose popularity is in the toilet. And it's Harry that wants to get back in. Let's be honest, Harry and Meghan never take responsibility for anything they do. I can hear it now. We tried to make peace. We tried to do it on the down low, but the royal family leaking and planting, and they thwarted our efforts. Could you imagine? This is exactly what's going to happen. Now, one more idea that came out, a lot of royal experts are saying that the meeting was more of a courtesy call. It had nothing to do with peace talks, and that this was a test. It was a test to see if a meeting could take place without Harry and Meghan leaking it. And guess what? They failed the test. In the middle of all this, People magazine, who we know Meghan has in her pocket and on speed dial, came out and debunked the visit, saying this was just part of one of her routine duties. She was in town to meet the UK-based communications team, media stakeholders, and senior figures that are connected to Harry's patronages. In other words, that's Meghan's way of saying there will be no reconciliation. What's also being said is that Harry has to accept the brutal ultimatum that if it comes to reconciliation, he has to stop launching attacks at the royal family. But that's going to be hard for Harry because, after all, that's the only way he can continue his partnership with Netflix. Sarah Vine wrote the article that you're currently looking at, and let me tell you what she said about this meeting. She said that Harry is so obviously lost, and he's justified his departure as an escape from the intolerable claustrophobia of royal life, but yet he has clung to his birthright. And the truth is, she said, if you strip away his royal status, there's not a lot left to work with. A middle-aged man-child with a pushy wife who has expensive taste and no discernible skills. So the two top aides met, and sources at the palace were very quick, and they took a lot of pains to point out that there was no formal agenda, just casual drinks. She pointed out that every project Harry undertook was predicated on his titles, and the only real currency he has is being a member of the British royal family. But without contact with that family, the well is beginning to run dry, and Harry needs to replenish his royalness and make nice with the king. And this is the quickest and easiest way of reminding the world of his profitable connection. They're also saying that the king needs to be aware of this because at the end of the day, Harry has a lot more to gain than his father does. It was also pointed out that the king can't just let Harry waltz back in without acknowledging how destructive and hurtful his behavior has been towards his brother and Catherine. The Prince of Wales has had his head down, behaving impeccably, while Harry has been off the rails. You can't just let him waltz back in. Nor can Harry expect to just pick up where he left off. He let his family down, and his bratish and selfish behavior has let the people of Britain down. A lot are very disappointed and saddened at his actions, and he can't just swam back as though nothing's happened. The test now is whether he's prepared to do all that. In the meantime, the Sussex Squad has been very vocal. They're having meltdowns because they cannot believe that Harry would want anything to do with his family after the way they treated poor Meghan. Oh my goodness. Why would you want to abandon your wife and kids to go be by William? You get it? It'll be interesting, and I'll keep you updated on this story. So like I told you guys, we'll return to our regular format tomorrow. I'll add on if any more information comes out. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.